Hi, on today's Travel Ones podcast, I'm lucky to have Tanya Stanfield. How are you today, Tanya?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing excellent. Thank you so much for giving me some time today. I really appreciate it. I've been following you for quite a while on Instagram, and you have your site has so much good tidbits of information, and now you're starting to expand it. So you're the founder, CEO of Road Warrior Strong?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Can you give my listeners a little bit of background of what you do and why you're doing it?
Sure. So I have been working consulting for probably about 8 years. First for a firm, and now I work on my own. And I've been traveling for work for the past 4 years. So Road Warrior Strong started sort of as a solution to my own issues. When I started traveling for work, prior to that, I was always very active, very consistent with my workout, and ate fairly well, here and there. But once I started traveling for work, I really struggled with that. So when I started sort of hacking my own health in a way and hacking my own schedule to accommodate, healthier living on the road, that's sort of the impetus for Road Warrior Strong. So Road Warrior Strong is, I call it a concierge built for business travelers. So we provide content to business travelers to let them know where to stay, where to eat when they're on the road to maintain their health and fitness. And we also help them as well sort of build customized itineraries into their travel schedules so they can more easily implement whether it's their diet or their workout on the road, so they know where to go, how to do it, and they get that personal support along the way.
I so agree with all that, because I found it very difficult and struggled a lot about how to eat healthier on the road and exercise. And with the podcast that I'm doing now and talking to people that are on the road for 220 days a year, I mean, that's 7.5 months of the year they're on the road. I think it's what a lot of people, and now that we're so, some people say it's still such a big world, but I think it's a smaller world because of technology. And the ability to have business in different countries and different states allows us to, traveling is not as expensive as it used to be. But it also makes for a lot more people that are traveling. And that's exactly what you're kind of helping out with, which I appreciate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's all about, I think one thing, you're absolutely right. And I think one thing people struggle with when they're traveling is, they go from destination to destination and sort of hope and pray that, they'll be able to maintain their health and fitness on the road. They hope that there's a decent gym in their hotel. They hope that they'll be able to find healthy meal options where they're at. But I think the disconnect happens when they don't know that in advance. And when you're in the moment and when you're traveling and it's such a stressful environment to be in the first place, not only do you not have time to search for those resources when you're in a destination and you're traveling, but you also suffer a lot from, fatigue, and decision fatigue sets in. And when decision fatigue sets in, you have less ability to make the right choices for your body. So that's something that we're really trying to do, is just really close that gap for people.
On the Instagram and then on the website, it's almost like a resource guide as well. I mean, seems like you're going after specific cities and really saying, here's how to travel in San Francisco, or are you doing more city-based type stuff as well?
We are, yeah. So right now we're focusing primarily on some core cities, Chicago, San Francisco, Seattle being 3 of them, and expanding as we go along. But we do help travelers. I help travelers personally who are traveling to multiple destinations. Most recently I helped one traveler who's traveling to Vegas, and I helped another who was traveling to Louisville. So I love just being a sounding board for people and just really helping them dig in and find, where they're going to work out and where they're going to eat healthy while they're traveling to these various destinations.
Was your advice to not hit the slot machines in the McCarran Airport at Vegas?
It did not. No.
Oh,
but it's surprising because, Las Vegas isn't known for being, a healthy paradise in the least, but there are a lot of options there. They're just not very well publicized. So, for this particular traveler, we were able to track down some great resources for her as far as taking yoga classes were concerned, which is kind of a surprise, and also, finding places where she could eat, on her dairy-free diet. So there are ways where you can, find what you need for your body on the road. Again, it's just about having that plan in advance and knowing where to go and where to find it.
Yeah, I mean, I spend too much time in Vegas for work between we do a rodeo every year. It's the National Farmers Rodeo. It's the first 2 weeks of December, and it's a 10-day rodeo. So we go there for 4 days of setup. We set up 9 different booths. I manage one of the booths for 10 days, and then we have 2.5 days of teardown.
Wow.
And,
yeah.
Spending 16 nights in the hotel on the strip sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets a little exhausting.
And I know the young people are like, woohoo, but in my advanced stage, I'm not doing the woohoo after 10 years of doing it. I'm like, I just want to go home. I just want to eat a meal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even that woohoo, I mean, after, 10 days, I imagined anyone would get tired of it, and your body gets exhausted too. I mean, I've spent 3 days max in Vegas. So even after that small amount of time, it's like, get me to a gym, get me a decent meal. So, just I would imagine expanding that time, that can really catch up with you after a while.
Well, and surprisingly, I would think that too. And a lot of even the younger people will burn out, but some don't.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a couple of friends that literally go out, they go out every night.
Yeah.
That's 16 straight nights.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I cannot even imagine that.
And some of them do the, got a frog. Some of them do the, we didn't go to sleep last night category.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Cool. I'm like, hey, as long as you show up and do your work, we're good.
Exactly.
Once you get off, I'm not your mom, I'm not your dad, but just show up in the morning and be in a good mood.
Right.
So it works out. What do you see? What's the biggest disadvantage for road travelers, road warriors, as far as health and fitness?
I think I am a firm believer that anyone who's traveling can find a way to fit in a workout and fit in some decent meals. That's what I help people do for a living. But I think the biggest challenge, and something that I'm still working with personally, is the sleep factor. And this is a challenge for everyone, whether they travel or not. But I find that, helping travelers sort of get that, round night of sleep, whether it's 7 or 8 hours, can be really difficult. And there's a number of factors that sort of feed into that. If you're traveling between time zones, it's super hard.
Yeah.
If you have a ton of meetings, you have early mornings, you have late flights, all of this, just the erratic schedule makes it really hard to get good, decent sleep. And that's the cornerstone of our health. But, like I said, this is sort of like a national crisis that I think we're having, whether we travel for work or not. But for travelers, it's probably the biggest challenge.
I totally agree with that. It usually takes me at least 2 nights to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And some of my trips are only 3 days. So.
Yeah. Getting comfortable. There are a lot of hotels now that are starting to focus more on the sleep experience. They're changing the types of beds that they have. I think the Westin has the Heavenly bed. But you just never know. I've stayed in hotels, in Midtown Manhattan where the noise level, I live in it today. I live in Chicago, so I'm used to a certain level of noise, but not Times Square noise. And that can be, just unexpected things like that you're not prepared for can be really disruptive to your sleep.
Totally agree. I mean, that's, like I said, I've had trips where I've flown from California to Nashville, which is Sound Central time.
Yeah.
And then I had to drive over to Chattanooga, which is on Eastern time, and then remind myself of my plane, which is in Nashville, which is at Central time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a 3-day trip. So it was like by the time I got used to Eastern Standard Time, I was having to remember that I have to fly out on Central Standard Time and then be home on the Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, that's super rough. And it contributes to the stress factor that we're all feeling when we're traveling. There's so many balls that we're holding up in the air. So for a lot of people, even thinking about their health and fitness on the road, in addition to all these other things, it's just really complicated. So what I'm trying to do with Road Warrior Strong is make that a lot less complicated, because the only thing we have full ownership over are our bodies. There's not a lot we can control with travel. There's not a lot we can control with work. And, our bodies, of course, will do what they do, but that's like the one area where we have some say in what happens to it and what we feed it and how we move with it.
What I think? I'm just thinking out loud. You're literally making my mind spin in a good way. If there was a good food source option at the airports, because it's always they say they're healthy, but they're really not.
Mm-hmm.
The sandwiches that are wrapped up and all that, and even like a lot of the restaurants are just the flash fried food.
Yeah.
You can get a salad, but I always have to ask for the dressing on the side so they don't slather it.
Yeah, sure. Which is great. And, it's about progress and not perfection. I think when it comes to diet, whether you're traveling or not, you've got to find what works for you. And it's that sort of that 80-20 rule. And I tell my clients the same thing on the road. I would never expect anyone to be 100% perfect, quote unquote, when they're eating on the road. But it's just, as long as you have that hamburger once instead of having it every night, it's things like that. And when it comes to airports, I know you've spoken to Christina, who's the owner of Vein, Wellness Magazine, and, I just love what she's doing, and she's really sort of opening the door for, a lot of travelers who are practically living in airports to say, hey, there are options here at the airports. And I think, with the work she's doing, she's also putting the impetus on airports to do a little better and provide a little more in terms of healthier eating options within their confines.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like, if you ever got to the point where you could brand Road Warrior Strong into food options, that way, as a resource, maybe they could take the meals with them and or buy them at the Hudson News stands and at the airports and that type of thing.
Yeah. We're considering all sorts of options when it comes to co-branding and partnering with people in the travel industry. Fortunately, the travel industry is becoming really open to including wellness, not just as an amenity, but, infusing it in all, matters of their business. So travelers can feel a little more at home and feel a little healthier and elevate their wellness when they're traveling.
Totally agree with you. I mean, I remember back in the day when I was much younger, pre technology with the smartphones and Google and all that, you literally got whatever you got. I mean,
sure.
It was just all convenient food, all comfort food at the airports, and even a lot of the restaurants were just comfort food. So you'd get out, you'd be done driving, you're like, well, I'm going to go to McDonald's or Carl's Jr. or
right,
and there were no healthy options at those places, and now at least there are some oatmeal options or salad options or some vegetarian options.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten better.
Yeah, it's more mainstream, I think, which is nice.
Absolutely.
As we travel. What's the with Road Warrior Strong? How do you? I'm just trying to think out loud. What's the end game? Do you have an end game in mind for the brand, or is it just kind of you're just going to let it evolve?
Yeah, I have discussions about that all the time. Like I said, I do have some ideas, about partnerships and sort of bringing the brand to another, level. And, we're tossing back and forth a ton of ideas. I think my ultimate goal is to partner more heavily with the hospitality industry and also with employers as well, and particularly with employers who clearly have a big traveling workforce, such as, consulting firms or, people who are in sales like you and companies like yours, and just partnering with them more closely, partnering with their travel organizers, partnering with their chief wellness officers or human resources or whoever is responsible for ensuring that employee engagement remains high and employee health remains high as well. So I know that's kind of a vague answer. Like I said, I'm talking back and forth ideas all the time, but I think those partnerships are really important for the evolution of our brand.
I look at our company. We have, I don't know, 60, 70 people that work in an office, in the corporate office. And we've got 20, 25 people that are out on the road. And they have a health and wellness fitness kind of plan for the office people. They have the kettlebells and they have an instructor that'll come and do a class at lunchtime and all that. But you're right, they don't do anything for the people that are out on the road.
Yeah.
They just go up. Oh, you're out on the road, you figure it out.
Right, yeah, and that's super common. It's exactly as you say, a lot of the traveling employees, they miss those opportunities that are on site, which I'm so glad a lot of companies are offering more opportunities like that on site, like the yoga classes at lunch or whatever. But you're absolutely right. The people who travel, they miss that. So, one of my goals is to close that gap and make sure that they're included, in gaining access to those resources. Those resources just have to look a little different.
Yeah, you're right. Like I said, you got my mind spinning. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, in an absolutely good way. Because I think there's, the whole purpose of, and a lot of the people that travel that I talk to about my podcast are like, oh my God, what a great idea. Mm-hmm. Because there's not we don't get a lot of people that talk about life on the road. Whether it's, how do you deal with family and family time issues, and unfortunately, a lot of divorce rate for travelers, whether it's athletes or comedians or entertainers or business people. I've got a friend that's on the road 3 weeks a month.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of that's another thing that I'm working with travelers to try to solve for, because I think there's this culture in business travel, like the individual strong road warrior going here, there, everywhere. It's a very distinct culture, but it's a culture that can be very isolating. And I know I talk to a lot of people who they end up flaming out of these roles that offer these great opportunities, but once they travel so much for work, they flame out because of the health issues, but also because of feeling that disconnect, exactly what you're talking about. And those things go hand in hand. Being connected to others has a huge impact on your health. So that's another thing that we talk about a lot. And one thing that I offer to my clients is more than just giving them a plan and saying, okay, go here for lunch, go here for dinner, work out here, is offering that sense of support to them and connecting with them while they're on the road, and just being that sounding board, because it can be extremely isolating and extremely lonely at times.
Well, for me, like I was telling you, I drive, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any more isolating than sitting in a car by yourself for 6 hours wondering what you're going to do when you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's neat. What's the best way for people to reach out and find out what you have going on?
Sure. Well, they can go to the website. That's probably the best place, roadwarriorstrong.com. And they can contact me there. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram and also LinkedIn, Facebook as well. And I think you mentioned this earlier, but we are trying to provide more guides based on city, so people can have like quicker access to, if they're staying at this particular hotel in this city, et cetera. But I'm always really excited to help people individually on their travel. So I just like to hear from people, and, if they have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'll definitely share all the links on my website so people can get back in touch with you.
Excellent. Great.
I have a random question for you.
Sure.
You're my first guest I'm asking, so no pressure.
Okay.
Do you have a travel song?
Oh, wow. Do I have a travel song? I really don't. I do put together playlists on Road Warrior Strong is also on Spotify, so I do have some playlists there, but it really depends on the type of mood I'm in. So I wish I had an answer to that. That's a really good question. You should ask everyone that from now on. That's really good.
I will, because I literally thought of it last week when I was driving, and like I have my playlist too, and it's like there's this there's specific songs that I always listen to when I'm on the road for whatever reason. And then I start listening to the song, I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah,
Either it reminds me of home or reminds me of traveling back. Or
That's so cool. I love that. Yeah, I think when you're driving especially, you have to have, the music in the background to keep you company. It's been ages since I've done the long haul driving, but definitely got to have that.
You're not missing much.
Well, I think it depends on where you're driving. The last time I did a long travel, I drove from Chicago to Indianapolis, which I think that's 3 or 4 hours, and that was long enough for me. After that, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that again. So. Well,
now what I try to do when I travel is find new routes, new roads I haven't ever been on.
Yeah.
Because I travel 4 times a year to the same places, and after 10 years, okay, I've been on that road 40, 50 times now.
Yeah, it gets a little old.
I always tried little highway. Like last week, I found a new highway to go across from the Central California over to the coast. And then I took the one freeway down the coast, which takes like an extra 2.5 hours of driving. But I saw elephant seals and zebras and everything else. So,
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So but I was listening to a lot of music, and I'm like, I'm going to start asking what's a good travel. What's your go-to song? So yours is really just a spotlight, a Spotify playlist then.
Yeah. So I have a Spotify playlist. It's Road Warrior Strong, so anyone can hop on. And they're divided by season mostly, and I'm always open to suggestions. Everyone, I love hearing about people's workout music and sort of what gets them going. For me, it's totally according to my mood, how I'm feeling at a certain time of year. Yeah. So, yep,
I will put your answer as a Road Warrior Strong Spotify playlist.
That's it. That's my answer.
You got it. So, hey, I really appreciate the time today, Tanya.
No problem. Thanks so much, Pete. This is a great conversation, and I've subscribed to your podcast, so I will be tuning in and listening more.
I appreciate it, and like I said, I've been following you for quite a while now on Instagram, and now I've got the website, so it's a good resource guide.
Excellent. So, great.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Have a great week, Tanya.
You too. Thanks so much, Pete.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.